All right, I want to talk about tricks to fit in extreme and bold effects. And let's just go ahead and jump right in here. The deal is a lot of bold effects went out of style about 20 something years ago. But that doesn't mean they're not intense and can emphasize or elevate our mix to a whole new level. We just have to be a little bit sneakier in how we use them. Okay, so I've got this vocal, and they're going for kind of a big arena rock thing. This mix is early in the stages here, so it's not very far along. So don't get too judgmental yet. But what we're going to end up with is almost a maybe not a live sound, but close. They kept on mentioning Styx, which is unfortunate. I don't really understand that band. Anyway, so let's just listen to this arena rock sound we've got. But I have nothing on the vocals yet, so okay, here we go.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what you thought would be so right. Oh, you tried many times.
Okay, that vocal cannot be dry. And again, if you heard more of the song, you would know that this feels like you're at a concert for 50,000 people or something like that. So, what I'm thinking here is I got to go big, yeah, real big, but I got to figure out a way to do that. And so, what I was playing around with my Eventide H3000, and you're not going to see that because it's a hardware unit, and I don't have another damn camera here, and it's not all that pretty to look at anyway. But I'm using a preset called Multi Shift, which let me kind of look over here. We've got looks like a 12 cent yeah, 12 cents up on one side, 12 cents down on the other, but with some delay. And I put those in time with the song, but I backed them down way off, so they're like in the 50 millisecond range. Now, so this can get us some extreme width. Let's check it out. But what's going to happen is it's going to be a little bit corny. It's going to sound like something maybe the last band that used this was probably Warrant in any large quantities. There we go.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what you thought would be so right.
Okay, now I'm hearing a couple of things. One, I'm hearing something. I'm hearing something. That's a sound. That is a thing that means something. We're going somewhere. The problem is I don't know if we're going where we want to be. And I got a feeling if I just gave the band that, I would get vetoed in a hurry. There's a certain crudeness to it, which kind of went out in the early 80s. Twisted Sister reverb type of business where we can't do that now for sure. And the first thing let's talk about, we're gonna sneak this, but I really want to use this effect, so I want to sneak it in, and maybe not in quite this quantity, but the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn on the UAD Cambridge. You know where all these little drawings you see here, and let's knock off a lot of the top end. We got a filter, high pass filter at 3.32K, 6 decibels an octave off. So a pretty gentle slope, more or less a shelf, kind of, sort of, but not. And let's see what that does, because the first thing that annoyed me, actually, let's listen to that again real quick, is that one of the delays is really bright, and it's drawing attention to itself up at like 8K or so. Let's see.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what.
We've definitely got some of the fizziness in that effect, and so that's dead giveaway number one. And to you guys who think you really like bright reverbs and things like that, you usually don't like them fizzy. So keep that in mind, that this is a common tactic anyway. And I'm using this EQ in front of the send to the Eventide. So the Eventide's never going to get this information right here because we're shaving it right off, give or take. Okay, so let's send this now. All right, so we now have our our low pass filter on. Let's see what it does.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind.
Okay, good. We have solved the top end problem. The top end is fine on this effect, give or take. I mean, I think. It's not bugging me right this second. What's bugging me now is another thing that's making this plugin more obvious, and that is the bottom end. Delay, and I guess you could kind of call this a delay. It's a pitch shifted delay. delay has a way of making itself really obvious in the very top end and the very bottom end. And so you can take a wild guess what I'm going to do. And we have a high pass filter and it's at 192. Nothing too crazy. I just don't want any of the 200 hertz type stuff and lower to really get in there. Maybe 200 hertz won't be too effective, but let's just hear that. This is kind of a good, healthy starting point.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what you thought would be so right.
Okay, now that effect, let's turn it off again entirely. I thought I heard some probably 300 hertz, give or take, maybe 4, going on in that vocal. A little bit of kind of a dull dumbness. And so it's very, very, very important that we're not sending that stuff to the unit, to any effects unit, because the effects are usually going to build up there, or they can sometimes. A lot of reverbs, a lot of delays do that. So, and this being I guess you could call it a vintage unit, is more likely to kind of do that stuff too. So let's make sure our original vocal doesn't have any in it.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind.
Okay, and we're pretty good there on that vocal. That vocal might be a hair thin, and I did that. I wanted a little more extra bite because I knew I was going to be sending it to effects. This is a critical thing, and those of you who are doing trance or any kind of atmospheric type music where there's going to be lots of delays or lots of reverb, it's real easy when you've got 6 reverbs going, or there's big plates and halls and all this kind of business. It's so easy to get a bunch of muck built up, and you keep on EQing your vocal and EQing your vocal and EQing your vocal before the sends, and it turns out your vocal is fine. It's the effects themselves that needed to be EQ'd. That can be a hard thing to diagnose sometimes. So as long as we know we're starting before we even add an effect with a really tight vocal that it's EQ'd pretty well for what we're looking for, then we can move on to the fun with the effects. So effect comes on, and now we have to figure out how to wedge this thing in there. And by switching back, we've also cleared our ears a little bit, which is a good thing. Now, normally when I'm doing this kind of stuff, I'm going to work really fast, and I'm not going to think too much. I'm going to throw it on there and get it where I can live with it, and then I'm going to move on to, I don't know, hi-hat or harmonies or do something different with my time. And we'll see what I think of this thing in 10 minutes. If I still like it in 10 minutes, then I'm going to fight to keep this thing on there forever. Going with my gut. All right, so anyway, here we go.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what.
Okay, I'm still hearing some low-mid junk. So it's definitely the Eventide sound. And that's another thing about this. The fact that I hear a build-up, and this is pretty subtle, but it's affecting I have a sound in my head right now. The second I turned this effect on, I said, aha, I think this is shapeable into what I want. It wasn't 100% when I first heard it, but it was really close. More importantly, it had a vibe, it had a thing, and I could have taken this song in a million directions, but I heard a sound with a thing, and so immediately I'm going for it. I don't have time to sit here and try 6,000 things. And I don't want to start thinking like an accountant. That would kill it. So we found something cool. We're going with it. Let's have fun. Let's see where this takes us. So one of the ways we're going to notch it in is, I guess, by hearing the build-up. If I'm hearing a build-up on an effect, that's one of the things making it obvious. In other words, if we put this thing on an RTA or maybe a spectrograph, this low-mid junk I'm hearing, it may show up right there as being the loudest part of that signal. It's very possible. So this kills 2 birds with one stone. I'm going to notch it out at 334 hertz. And I already did the sweeps and stuff, so you know how to do all that stuff by now. And let's see what this does now. Okay, before.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind.
You can really hear it on blanket.
Blanketed in kind.
Which is a lot of All right, so we'll turn that. Now we're going to cut that stuff, hopefully.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind.
And we're not there yet, but man, we just made a huge stride. We just gained 30% closer to our goal just by cutting 3.3 decibels at 334 hertz with a Q of 2. The point there is there was some buildup, and now we've reduced it. When I'm hearing this sound, I don't hear low mids being a part of our fun. I don't want murkiness. I want space. I want width. I want a kind of almost a chorus type sound, which is what's happening with our pitch shifters and stuff. But the delay I'm really concerned about. So now I don't have anything planned after this, so we're just going to wing it. And I'm going to go ahead and put the high pass up at 300. And let's see if that thins this thing out. What that would normally do is put more emphasis on fizziness. But we're kind of taking care of fizziness too, hopefully. So let's see what this does.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what you thought would be so right.
All right, now take a look at Found What. This effect is coming together quite nicely now. I don't hate it at all. I think the vocal needs a reverb too now to fill out the, when it has this long, singing kapow, there should be something kind of sustaining element, but that'll probably be a different video or something. But yeah, kind of to fill in the gaps, I guess you could say. An obvious reverb. This is kind of doing the room sound for us a little bit. Now listen to when he said, what word was that? Hang on.
Blanketed in kind. You found what.
All right, Found What, to me, sounds like a really strong kapow type of sound. And again, maybe I'm overdoing it. I mean, we're sending a lot to this Eventide. We're pushing it pretty hard at this point, more so than most people would. But listen to how strong Found What. The conviction is unreal. I mean, it sounds exactly like I want it to, at least in terms of intensity.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind.
Here.
You found what.
All right, our singer guy sounds really, really strong right there. I'm really cool with that. Now, here's the thing. I'm well aware of the fact that this effect is pretty damn bold. I know I'm breaking the rules. I know I'm having too much fun, which I don't know if you never have too much fun, but I definitely know I'm pushing it. At this point, I've kind of learned, I don't back off right now. I don't compromise right now and say, you know what, honey, maybe we should just get a smaller house. No, I want to go big. Let's go for the mansion and strike out and go broke. I don't know. Let's just go huge and take some risks here. Now, when I go off on my tangents and I'm starting to get the drums right and getting the guitars right and all that stuff, what I'm probably going to notice is that I have went too far. And right now, by sending it at -3 decibels below, zero in effect land, I'm taking a big, big gamble. And it may turn out I end up on -10. That's not really important. What's important is I'm not going to wimp out until I really feel a need to. And we may be really corny, and it may be when I put reverb on this, I might go, ooh, maybe I really screwed up the Eventide. Well, that's okay too. I don't care, because I'm always living for the moment with these mixes, I guess. And I can always change this. We haven't committed to anything. It's no big deal at all. But it's just important that I don't back down just yet. All right, guys. So what we kind of learned with this video is we can use a bold effect. And again, let me show you before and after so we can really hit this home. Okay, no reverb, just the Eventide.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what you thought would be so right.
We can go from 1987 to, I don't know, 97, whatever year I'm at, but just by pushing this EQ button.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what you thought would be so right.
And if I was just to turn that down, let's say 4 decibels to -7, let's see how corny that sounds. Or -6, close enough.
It's a fine day, blanketed in kind. You found what you thought would be so right.
All right, that was a hair boring. I don't know. Anyway, the points of this whole thing is we can take a cheesy effect, and just by adding EQ to take out any buildups and removing that obvious stuff, particularly on delays, with high pass and low pass filters, we can sneak in some really bold effects and really get in with, and maybe get some conviction in there. That found what? Maybe not. All right, guys, thanks.